Hello, today we're going to talk about geometric mean. The geometric mean of two positive numbers, that would be A and B, is the positive square root of their products. That basically means that we set up a proportion like this, where x is in two places, and that's the geometric mean. So let's go ahead and see what that is in practice. So that means I have 4 over x equals x over 9. And then when we cross multiply, we get x squared equals 36, which means that x equals 6. Fairly straightforward. Let's go ahead and do it here. We're going to plug this into here. So again, that just means that 6 over x equals x over 15. So I have 6 over x equals x over 15. And 6 times 15 gives us 90. So x squared equals 90. Well, x would be the square root of 90. And if we split 90 up, we get 9 and 10. 9 is 3 and 3. And so x is 3 root 10. Alright, so x equals 3 on the square root of 10. Then our last example, we have 2 over x equals x over 8. Again, that means that x squared equals 16. And of course we know that the square root of 16 is 4, and so that means that x equals 4. Simple enough. Now the reason this is called the geometric mean is because of the following properties. If I had to take a right triangle and I do the altitude from that right angle to the hypotenuse, I'm going to create two similar triangles that are actually similar to the original triangle. So I'm basically creating three similar triangles: a small, a medium, and a large. And this nice property of the geometric mean means that if I have, for instance, M and N, I can discover what H is. I can discover the height of that right triangle from the right angle to the hypotenuse. So let me show you. So M equals 2. So over here I'm going to put 2 where M was. N equals 10. So come over here where N is, and I'm going to put 10. And if you'll notice, the H is both here and here. So if I set up a proportion, I would have H over 10 equals 2 over H, which looks very similar to what we were using before. My X's are replaced with H's, and they're moved over a little bit just because of how I chose to write my proportion. But essentially we have the same thing, which means that H squared equals 20. So H would be the square root of 20. And if I do the square root of 20, well, 20, that's 4 times 5. 4 is 2 and 2. So that means that H equals 2 on the square root of 5. And this is the simplest form of that answer. And now that I know what H is, I can go ahead and put that here, 2 on the square root of 5. Now, oftentimes when you're doing math with roots, the simplified root, while it's what we want as our final answer, if you have to use this to work out problems, you also want to go ahead and leave this as the non-simplified square root because it's going to make working with these problems easier as we move further along. So we want to go ahead and just put both of these answers. Let's go ahead and look at our last example. This time we have to draw the triangles ourselves, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We draw our small triangle. We draw our medium triangle. And then we draw our large triangle. And obviously, since these are hand-drawn, they're not drawn to scale. But we know that these are all similar triangles. And we're going to go ahead and mark it. So my small triangle, well, the short leg of my small triangle is M. The long leg would be H. And the hypotenuse would be A. For my medium triangle, that would be this one. My small leg is H. My long leg is N. My hypotenuse would be B. And for the big original triangle, my small leg was A. My long leg was B. And my hypotenuse would be C. And if you'll notice that these three triangles actually match the three triangles that were above, because the two triangles we were given were labeled the same. Right. And now we're given that M equals 2, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to replace the M with the number 2. N equals 10, so I'm going to come over here. Replace that with the number 10. And this time they want me to find out what B is. Well, this is B. Now I can't find this out directly because B, I don't know what it is over here. I have another variable, so I can't set up a ratio directly with B. But H and H are both here, and so I can set up the geometric mean problem. So I can go ahead and set up my ratio this way. So H over 10 equals 2 over H. And we've actually already solved this problem. And so we get that H equals the square root of 20. Now I'm going to leave it like this because I need to figure out what B is. So that means I can scratch this H out and I can put the square root of 20 over here. And I know that this is a right triangle, so I can do A squared plus B squared equals C squared, Pythagorean theorem. So the square root of 20 squared plus 10 squared equals B squared, which all of this comes out to 120 equals B squared, or B equals the square root of 120. Well, that simply needs to be simplified. So I know that 120, well, that would be 12 and 10. 12 is 3 and 4. 2 and 5. 4 is 2 and 2. So I have a pair of 2's, that comes out. So B equals 2 on the root. 3 times 2 times 5 would be 30. Well, 2 times, yeah, it would be 30. And so B is 2 on square root of 30. And this would be my answer. So as you can see, if I know these two pieces of a right triangle and its height, well, H is easy to find. B is a little bit harder to find, but A would be the same step as finding B. And so there we have our answers, and we can solve for everything. This is a useful trick with right triangles that you can help to find different parts. Thank you and have a good day.